Hey guys, this week's podcast guest is Annie Levay-Krause from the blog The Land of Peapodriot. She came down, talked about food blogging and her organization S.O.L.E Buffalo. Let's get to it.
So when I had Rachel down here, we were talking about the Cheap Eats issue of Buffalo Spree that she was part of the one that put together, and I think I've hit almost everyone who's been in that issue now with you here too. How was your experience of having your face in a full page?
It was so much fun. When I was younger, when I was in high school, I actually modeled.
Okay.
So I was behind the camera and in front of the camera.
Nice.
I love photography. So it was a blast to have Casey come in and take pictures. The space was gorgeous. The light that day was amazing. And we just had fun with it. I was like, yeah. I was like, whatever, magazine. I get a picture. Yay. I just want to go and have a blast with my friend Sarah and eat cookies. And, be ridiculous.
You shot it at Beefrentes?
I did. It was so sad when the magazine comes out and it's closed. I'm like, I'm so sad.
That place is so nice. Like we went there probably maybe a month before it closed, but it was really cute. Like,
it's very bucolic. I'm massacring that Italian word, but it was so beautiful, ethereal. Beautiful, like the light, I think, was for me the big selling point.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all about a dinner and a show. I want to be entertained when I'm eating or buying my food, and that was the place. The nice part, though, is she and her mom, Lucy, are still doing catering on the side.
Okay,
so you can still order pies and cakes and cookies.
Their pie was fantastic. I had to slice their apple pie. It was ridiculous.
Their vegan treats, the brownies, they've got these vegan brownies that are so dense, like little tiny paper wafer thin slices off of it, and it lasts all day, and you're like, oh, so rich and so intense.
That sounds awesome.
Oh God, we need another place like that.
I know. I was so happy because I love Sweetness 7 and I like Gercio's, and I was just hoping more food came to Grant. I mean, Shawarma King is okay for what it is, but I wanted more, something to drive me there too, and I was so excited to see that, and so bummed when they closed shop.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool. Priscia's got Paula's Donuts in.
Yeah.
That's a great draw. I'm like, $1 cup of coffee and a donut from Paula's.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
Those thick cakes with the crusted peanuts.
Oh my God. I remember my first Paula's donut. It was almost a religious experience. I had heard this build up. Everyone's telling me you have to go there, and it lived up. It's
something. I spent a lot of time with my dad in coffee shops, and there was this place called Bellinopolis out in Latham, not far from Albany. Mm-hmm. And we would go every Saturday morning together, and we'd have a little espresso, and we'd have some really weird, bizarro Italian sweet treat, so sickeningly sweet you can only eat half of it, and then you're like, oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it was the experience of sitting down at the counter and having a cake donut and a cup of coffee. And that's why I love Paula's. I'm so sad they're moving away from the Kenmore location, because now I don't really have an incentive to go up there.
Yeah, they're going to Sheridan or something like that.
It's kind of an oddball location. I'm like, yay, good for them. They're moving up, bigger location.
Oh yeah, I mean, you go in there on a Saturday morning.
I know.
There is
you couldn't pay me. You could give me free donuts, and I might come in, but.
Yeah, it turns a little crazy. It's one of those things where I'm always in the area at the worst time. It's 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and I'm like, why am I even going to?
You're asking for it.
yeah. It's they're already gone through their second run of donuts. Right. I'm just like, why am I doing this?
They're taking the half offs with resticking all the sprinkles back out of the tray.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I was curious. You mentioned you're growing up and eating food. Has food always played an important role in your life as growing up? Or?
Yes. Well, like I mentioned when you asked me the first time some questions for Buffalo.
Oh, the Buffalo foodie.
Yes. And I had a rough run when I was little.
Yeah.
Starved. Just really bone frail.
Oh wow.
And when I was adopted, the advice my mom got from the doctors was, let her finish whatever's on the plate. Always offer seconds. There was no, all good things in moderation. It was anything goes. And I never learned how to balance things out. I never learned how to, what was okay, what was not okay. And I really suffered for it. And it wasn't, like I said, until I had my daughter, my oldest, and I was like, I can't live like this. This is nuts. I can't be squeezing into clothes and feeling unhappy and miserable. And I think it was both being a woman and being my age and just being so self-conscious. It was too much. So I got everything I got my hands on, read, asked a billion questions, just irritated the hell out of my nutritionist. And I was like, I need to change my relationship with food instead of it just being, fuel. Just keep throwing the coal in the chute. As I need to like develop a relationship where I'm like a part of the whole process. Yeah, where does it come from?
Yeah, understanding more of what you're actually eating rather than a name and a color.
Oh, God, right? Terrible.
I was bad in other ways and just guilty pleasure and not thinking twice about eating it.
Whole fried chicken. Yeah. I'd still pound a bacon like in a heartbeat. But,
but just like all processed and chain restaurants and just horribleness. Yeah, I was
Hormel bologna. I still have a little sweet spot in my heart.
Still have
Hormel bologna, fried Hormel bologna sandwiches.
Oh man.
Oh God, yeah. With the melted processed cheese on top, so it's like a plastic layer on the white bread.
Yeah. You're making me think like I should go over to the Pink right now. And
right now I'm so hungry. I wish my friend Nancy was still working up there instead of living down in Florida. She threw some mean meat sandwiches down. I'm like, Nancy, hook me up.
I went through the Allentown, stretch where I had to learn to take that in moderation, not get a steak sandwich twice a week or something like that. Like there's definitely a learning curve where I had to processed all that. So when you decided to learn more about food, I mean, were you interested more in just like the organic style? Or?
Well, I started out, it was all this concern of, I gotta lose the weight, gotta be fit, gotta be, circus 90s, 80s Fonda. I had no idea what I was doing. I was learning, the learning curve was steep. Mm-hmm. I stumbled into it. Yeah. Really horribly klutzy stumbled into it. And it really just within the last 5 years since I met my husband, have I really developed the whole, I got to push towards organics. I was looking at labels and the lists of items, ingredient list was getting longer and longer. And I'm like, really? It really takes 40 items to make like this tiny little piece of nondescript cheese. That can't be right. Yeah. So then I started making friends with like farmers. The co-op was a great leap pad for me where I could go down and actually shake hands with Tim Steadfast Farms and say, "Hey, I love your meat." And he's like, "Great, come out. I'll show you how we raise it." Still mooing, and I'm like, "Yeah, I love you. You're juicy and adorable." And that's terrible, but it's so true.
You know what? I had the same experience. I went to Tea Meadow, and we saw these pigs running around, and I'm like, "Oh my God, they're so adorable!" And then I'm like buying up as much. I'm like, "Oh, they're so happy and adorable," but now I want to eat every one of them. And I was like trying to like justify. I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I feel okay about it."
Yeah, right. They'll live in a good run. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Couldn't ask for a better life.
Yeah, and so this started as like just engulfing as much information as possible.
I was packing it in. People were giving me books on the weekends, and I was just reading everything inside. I'd literally sit over the course of a weekend and read 4 books. Wow. It was insane. And blogs had just started up, like really 5 years ago. I'd really kicked into gear, and I was blog hog crazy. I had 5 bars on my Explorer just full of blogs, and people would send me stuff and they'd say, "Hey, I was thinking of you, Annie, when I saw this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, wow," and then spiral off into other stuff. And it's only within the last 2 years that I've refocused. I had these grandiose ideas that I was going to do this huge umbrellas catch-all of everything, and I was, what? And my head's spinning. I got to narrow this sucker down before my albatross takes over. And so I ended up with this taking over S.O.L.E. And S.O.L.E. is a national movement, but it's really just limping along. It's not successful as a food movement here in the United States.
So for people who are listening, what is S.O.L.E?
S.O.L.E. is sustainable, organic, local, and ethical. Okay. And I was like, sustainable, absolutely. But that ties really into the ethical aspect. You're talking fair trade, and you're talking about, is the food that you're producing and you're eating, is it sustainably sourced? Is this something that feeds the environment and feeds you?
Yeah.
So I put those together, and I was like, but seasonal is really key to the whole picture, because so many people are eating kiwis off season.
Yeah.
Or I love Wegmans organic section in the springtime, and I'm like, watermelons in May in Buffalo? What? Oh, they're so pretty, and they smell so juicy, and they look gorgeous, but they're like $10 each. That's not really feeding my whole seasonal and ethical standards. But, So, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to co-opt this food movement and really focus it for Western New York, and see if I get any response, if it speaks to other people. And that's what I really want. I tell people I am not some food guru. I am not perfect. I love McDonald's French fries, even though I know they're so awful. They're delicious.
Yes, thank you for admitting that.
They pump that smell out, and you're like, it's like a little slice of heaven.
Yes.
And,
I'm right there with you.
Right? Scrape the bottom of the bag looking for the little hard, crusty parts.
It's evil. It's evil.
Right? We all have our weaknesses. I acknowledge it. I never say I'm perfect. I'm not this little, my fridge only has organic. So I think what it is, okay, I acknowledge it. I know what goes into it. I know how to make it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I still ate it, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. And I think that's part of it too, it's you can't be perfect. You can't be a saint. You can't be everything all the time. Mm-hmm. And if you decide to let loose a little bit and have that processed cheesecake from New York Cheesecake when you know it's not from New York, not to belittle yourself or make yourself feel bad. You're like, I ate it and it was delicious. I want another slice. And be okay with it. Make yourself okay with it, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just you develop that relationship, and you're like, okay, how far am I going to allow myself to play with food and be okay with it?
And so now to the organization, like, did you reach out more to like the individual consumer, or would you say you're like also trying to reach out to like restaurants and chefs?
I want to. That's the one part that I still let loose and don't try to confine or control it.
Okay.
Because it allows people who hear it and then kind of get excited by it to come to me and give what they're able at that moment.
Yeah.
Versus me saying, I only want to talk to restaurants, or I only want to talk to soup kitchens and food pantries, or I only want to talk to, grocery stores or co-ops. By opening it up and saying anything goes in that department, connecting people with resources and information and small-scale producers, and connecting the CSAs, the community-supported agriculture groups, and just saying, hey, this is an option. This is something that if you're interested in, connect with these folks.
That's awesome.
Hey, it's easy. It doesn't really take that much extra time to click and share.
Yeah.
I'm like in love with Facebook because it helps me do my job so much more easily than, if I were to do like the old school email lists.
Yeah.
And you'd send it out and everybody, Jesus, it's like 42 freaking pages. I'm not printing that thing out. But I just, they're quick, little bites of information. Take it or leave it. Not interested, go to the next one. I posted only 20 today, Pick what you like.
How have you seen, like, just in terms of Buffalo in like the last 2 years, do you think you've seen like a growth in?
Oh, it's an explosion. It's not just a growth, it's an explosion. People are very, very interested in knowing their food sources, how their food is produced, why people continue to highly processed foods when there are less expensive alternatives.
Yeah.
Like I posted, for example, a diagram on the breakdown on how margarine is produced.
And I think I saw that being spread around.
Right, they add a bleach to take the smell out of it.
I was shocked.
Gray, and they add a colorant to it before they add the yellow colorant to it.
Yeah. See, I've like just never used margarine because I think it tastes disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had no idea. Like when you posted it, I was like, "Holy crap!"
And
like,
I've been to a processing plant and seen it. The little tiny butter bells. I don't know if you guys get them out here. I haven't seen them here in Buffalo.
Okay.
Albany has them, and butter bells. It's cute little yellow container, and it's got a little blue bells on the top, and it smells like real butter, and it looks like whipped yellow butter. But you could like wax your boogie boards with it. It's obviously not butter. You get that nice waxy paraffin aftertaste.
Yeah.
I think it's knowing what I know. It's my duty to share without being pretentious about it.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look what I've discovered. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
This is what I've learned. Do you know anything else about it? Can you share? I'm always asking people, can add to it.
Yeah.
If you're a scientist, tell me about it.
Yeah. The pretentious thing can turn people away, or the preachy even.
Yes.
Because I watch food documentary after food documentary,
right.
And there are very little ones that talk about how great things are. Most of them are just pretty dire, and you love taking in that information, but then you don't want to like talk to the guy who's like, let me tell you about that burger that you're eating right now.
Oh yeah, please. No, I would never do that, because I'd be like, can I have a bite of that? That looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm my own worst enemy in that regard.
Yeah.
With S.O.L.E, my end hope is to get an actual physical location.
Okay.
There's a building I have my heart set on, but I don't want to jinx it by saying it out loud right now. But my hope is to have the first Northeast fresh produce, locally sourced grain, and aquaponic pond food pantry.
Oh, wow.
Because for many years I had to use a food pantry, and I'm not ashamed to say so. I was never ashamed when I went. I was always grateful, but there was this very automaton, you're a number on a folder, you come in, you stand in line, you don't say, shut up, stay over there, take your bag, say thank you. I mean, it was like really brutal in some places here in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Western New York Food Bank did a huge educational program, which I'm so grateful they did, where they pulled folks in who operate local pantries and said, listen, your clients are people who are starving or who are food insecure. And you have to acknowledge the fact that they have probably gone several days without any food at all before they worked up the courage to come to your pantry, to ask, to put their hand out and say, may I please?
Yeah.
So the least you can do is acknowledge that, even if you don't say it out loud, by treating them with a meconium of respect.
Yeah.
So I want to take that further. I want to have a building that has hoop houses on the roof, that has an apiary that, germinates the flowers for the vegetables and fruits that I'm going to grow on there, and have double aquaponic ponds so we can have fresh tilapia, and work in conjunction with other groups in the area like Massachusetts Ag Project.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of other programs, Farmer Pirates, I want to get them involved, where we're all pooling in a certain percentage towards this pantry.
Yeah.
So you can come, and if you live within, like, say, the West Side, you can come and you're going to get once a month, like everybody else is at a pantry, but you're going to get, a head of lettuce and a bunch of fresh radishes and a basket of strawberries and a fresh fish we just, pulled from the pond.
Yeah.
I mean, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
And then the other part is a soup kitchen. It's based on a gift-based economy restaurant. There's a number of them that have been run very successfully in Chicago and in a couple of other areas. John Bon Jovi has made a big name for himself with his own version of that.
Oh.
The only problem I have with it is location.
Okay.
It's set in kind of a trendy area, so he gets more upper scale clientele rather than a mixed clientele. Location I'm looking at would have a very broad mix of populations.
Yeah.
And it works. It's successful, but it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of commitment from a larger base of people than most soup kitchens have.
Okay.
So I have to really lay the groundwork ahead of time. It's going to take a long while.
Yeah.
It may not come to fruition
sounds pretty
for 5
ambitious.
years.
Yeah.
It's very ambitious, but I'm going to start first with the soup kitchen, and then add the pantry, and then add all of the educational classes. We have this amazing rockin' refugee and immigrant population.
Yeah.
It's huge. West Side is this microcosm of the whole planet in
I live here.
one zip code. I love it.
Yeah.
And you have all different kinds of food being prepared, and I want people to be able to share their culture, their heritage, their cuisine heritage with the rest of the community. My international dinners is one way of doing that.
Yeah.
But I want to do more of that. I want to be able to have classes. You want to learn to make Burmese pho? Come on in. We're going to teach a class. It'll cost $5.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's talk about those dinners, because I think you have one coming up.
I do. My Japanese dinner, which
Yes.
nobody can come to because it's solid. I'm expecting 70 to 80 people. I can't add any more.
All right. You have one after that, at least.
Oh yeah, I got several more.
Yeah. How have those been?
They are so much fun. Everybody's like, oh, I can't believe it's so much work. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's a blast. It takes like no effort whatsoever. I've been doing these for a little over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I started them when I was with my first husband in my house in South Buffalo.
Okay.
And we'd have 5, 10, maybe 15 people. And it was kind of cute. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I was probably totally culturally inappropriately unaware of some of the things I was doing. Learning curve, big time. But then I had, my third year, I had a Thanksgiving, and we had 45 people in this 2-story Victorian house, and there were people spilling into the front yard and in the backyard. It was insanity. We had 6 turkeys going and 18 pies and 4 different dressings, and it was just nuts. And people were like, you need to rent a hall and do this on a regular. And I was like, catering, small business, no. And then I took some time off, had some crazy, baby mama drama going down, and then with my new husband, we've been together for 5 years, and he was like, you talk about it all the time. Friends of yours talk about it was awesome. I want to see this. Put it on. So I did it, and I do them at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo down on Elmwood. Yeah. And the first dinner, people were like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that. I do all the cooking. And it's 9 dishes, so you get 3 meat, 3 veggie, 3 dessert, and I do all this really extensive research. I try to connect with the cultural group in the area so I can get as accurate as possible without stomping on anybody's toes culturally.
Yeah. So the first one, that was Japanese, was it? Or no, is that...
When I started them back up at the UU 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of this year, but yeah.
I don't even remember what the first one was. The 2 best ones we've had thus far was I did Serbia, Croatia, and Herzegovina.
Wow.
Really intense. And we had the Croatian club come out, and they have a 15-piece orchestra.
I
swear to God. I called these guys, and I was like, I saw your post on your Facebook page, and I love your music, and I'm doing this dinner, and I was wondering if you, the guy who runs the orchestra, if you and maybe one of your other guys might like to come out and share, a couple of the more unique instruments that you have, the really unusual instruments.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll talk to the guys and I'll see what I can do. And I was like, yeah, fantastic. And then I get an email 2 weeks before the dinner. Can we all come? And I was like, I'm thinking 5. And I was like, sure, 5 of you guys? Yeah, I got plenty of space, no problem. And he's like, do you have a sound system? And I was like, oh, the space is sound panels. Everybody will hear you great. You won't need a microphone or anything. So he's like, fantastic. The night of the dinner, I'm in there, and my husband and I are making pierogies, like frying them up and everything.
Yeah.
And one of my girlfriends runs in, and she's like, "Hey, there's 15 people setting up. They want to know where to put the drum set." I was like, "What?" So I come out, I've got like greasy, buttery fingertips and like flour all over me, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know what to do. I had to squeeze them in between all the tables. And somebody took care of the tables. I don't know who it was, but we had a rockin' time. There were 60 people there.
Wow.
They made so much noise. We had all the doors open, the windows open. We had people coming in from off the street to check it out. And the other major one was the first dinner of this year, which was India.
Okay,
and we had 25 members of the Sikh Gurdwara come from Williamsville.
Oh, wow.
And we had the executive chef from Kebab and Curry make 3 huge dal and fancy lentil rice things. I was like, I didn't even get to taste it. He made enough for like 100 people. I had 81 people, and I didn't have any. People were like pigging out. I was like, yeah.
Nice.
It was insane. The music and the dancing. We had the girls dancing and the little kids doing their cute little Punjabi Bollywood dance.
That's fantastic.
So this next one is Japan. And
okay, the
I
next one
have
is Japan. That's right.
Dr. Michi and a number of other people, Yatsuko and Yoshiko, introduced me to a number of older women who do Japanese cultural events.
Okay.
They do dances and ikebana, which is the whole floral arrangement. There's the green tea ceremony and fan and poems written on scrolls. It was just gorgeous. We went to the Japan Culture Day at the History Museum a couple months ago, and I was just blown away. I was like, that's what we need. So I hooked up with all these ladies and I said, this is what I'm doing, and they were so excited they just ran with it. So we've got a full troupe of all these delightful women. Most of them are quite elderly, and they're coming in these beautiful kimonos and
awesome.
their fancy oboes and their hair falls and everything. And then I have a gentleman, Bruce Paziski, and he's going to give a short series of stories about what it's like a Westerner living in Japan and going to a traditional Japanese bath and how he had some snafus in his Western ways in this traditional bath. And he's going to show a series of pictures of Kyoto and geisha, and it's going to be a blast.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to start cooking.
Yeah, I love that it encompasses the whole thing, not just the food.
And
that
the
you
door
get
prizes, insane. That's what keeps people coming back. It's dancing, music, whatever, food, don't care. I want those door prizes. Because there's nothing like a cheap knockoff from, an antique shop that Annie gets for free. Everybody's like clamoring for that.
That's awesome.
You want the Last Rice sticky ball? No, I want that book. It was only $2 at West Side stores, but I want that book.
That's great.
Silly.
Well, that's awesome that it's been so popular and successful. I have not made it to one yet, and I'm slacking, I know.
Well, if you're able to come to this one, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
The ones after that, there's Austria, and I'm doing Romani gypsy culture.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be intense. and then there's Mexico, and then Greece.
Oh.
That's the first one I started out with. That's what it was. I started out with Greece. That was my first one out. And that was my whole big fat Greek wedding with the...
okay.
I had a friend down the street who roasted a whole lamb.
Wow.
Baby, yeah, it was just...
That's serious.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
So, I mean, like, while you're preparing to learn how to cook all these things, are you just, like, reading and, like, trying to get as much advice?
Absolutely. Yeah. I live in the Central Library.
Oh, okay.
They know me by my first name. Hey, Annie, what's the dinner this time?
Nice.
So, yeah, I made good friends with my friends, with the folks down at the library, and follow a lot of blogs.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part, too, is when I change the country or culture, I discover all these different variations on stuff that I thought was authentic, and I go, wow, that is so Americanized.
Yeah.
I did not know, that's what you put in your broth, or that's what you add to your, pierogi dough, or... So, yeah, this one's been a blast. I can't get enough of it.
That's awesome. So, I mean, in your course of, like, kind of rediscovering food and learning more about it, did you also then pick up this interest in cooking too, or is that like
cooking's always been there?
Okay.
But I wasn't always good at it, and being good at it has been a recent phenomenon.
Nice.
It's been a real pleasure feeding my husband. He sits there and oh, it looks amazing, and not that fakey like I better say it so she'll keep feeding me.
Yes, yeah.
But like genuinely just savors and enjoys the food, and that's what encourages me to keep cooking or playing with food, or and once in a while I'll have an off dish and he'll be like, well, that was great except for did you need the toasted garbanzo beans or whatever it was that was just not quite right. But I like that too, because the feedback is what keeps me going. And when I post to the blog and I've got all those fantastical pictures, it's only because I've made everybody wait and their food's going cold, and I've taken 48 shots of like my dish.
I can attest to that in a restaurant setting.
Okay, so you identify.
Yes, I know that problem all too well. Yeah, of making my wife hate me because I haven't got the right picture of her.
We've had a couple of tense moments where, do you really have to have that out? Please put that away right now. We're trying to have a nice meal. Can we just be out with the kids and just have a meal without you whipping out your camera? I'm sorry, Jesus, I'm sorry for being a foodie and interested in my food. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's ours is more. Can I please eat this, or do you have to use a flash in this restaurant? So those are my embarrassing moments when it comes to taking a picture. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So when did the blog start? Was that around the S.O.L.E start as well? Or?
The blog started prior to S.O.L.E, and it was actually at Bob's insistence, because I would I read all these blogs and they have really bad pictures, and the recipes, they obviously didn't test them. They bought them from a friend, they put it up, or they take a picture of it and you're like, that really doesn't look very appetizing. I don't even know why you took the time to post that. And he was like, just do it. So do like 5, and if you don't like it, you can always shut it down. And I was like hooked. I was hooked at the first one out. I did, I think it was ghee. I made a sage ghee, and it was, it's still a big hitter. People still love checking out my ghee. And I also did a sage soap, which is a big hit. Yeah. But then, and then I kind of hit my stride, and then I was like, oh, this is starting to get boring.
I know.
And then my stepson is crazy about Portal. Both he and his dad are crazy about Portal. And there's this cake. I don't know if you guys have ever played Portal.
Yes.
Okay, there's the cake.
Yes,
it's not really cake. You might be the cake at the end of the game.
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at the pictures, and Bob's like, you could totally make that. I was like, yeah, I can make that. I can make it look exactly like that. The indent in the middle and the big, thick candle in the center. I was like, I'd totally do that. So I did it, photographed the entire process, and I couldn't eat it because it was made with eggs. And
okay.
I know, it stinks being allergic to eggs, but it smelled amazing. I ate a lot of frosting. It was moist and delicious, and it was falling off their fork, and they were like moaning and their eyes were rolling. I was like, yeah, got a hit. Now I put that on, and it's been on Reddit like 10,000.
Oh my god!
It's like the biggest hitting Portal cake out there.
It's
been
awesome.
reblogged over 30,000 times.
Wow.
It's my big heavy hitter on my site.
Yeah.
So like I don't even look at my stuff anymore, my stats.
Is it so inflated?
It's ginormous. It's just ginormous, only because of that damn Portal cake. So then Bob's
awesome.
like, that's pretty sweet. You could do another one. So then I did lembas bread, but like Hobbit sized. So it's like 3 times the elvish sized lembas bread.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a big hitter too. Not as big as Portal though. That was flipping awesome.
Yeah, Portal and Reddit, I feel like, are made for each other. So I
gotta figure out how to make the 9 cat. The rainbow.
Oh my god!
Homemade Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
that's my next one. Yeah, so I want to make a homemade Pop-Tart cat.
That
with
would be
big fat frosting head on it.
I would have to, if you can figure that out, I will order it for my wife's birthday.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because the blog is what I like about it is it's all over the place. Like you'll have like recipes. I mean, you had soap making,
right? Yeah.
And you'll even do like restaurant reviews too, which is like I've actually found out about a couple places just from your post.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had no idea Essex Street served food until I saw your post.
Oh yeah, I went in. My husband and I had gone in. We love going there, especially after the international dinners.
Yeah.
Downtime, fantastic. Get drunk, wander home because we're so close to it.
That's awesome.
And Mackie's son actually did kung fu with my daughter, and so we'd sit and watch the kids do kung fu, and he's like, "Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing food," and I was like, "Whoa, really? Yeah, okay." So I didn't hear anything more about it, and then I'm in there one night, and he's like, "Yeah, definitely gonna do food." I was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah. Tell me when you're gonna do it." And so I was watching the posts, and I was like, "Hey, can I come in and interview you? You know, the space and everything. We've done so many renovations." And so he's giving me the lowdown on the pastrami, which is, to die for. That's another one I just can't get enough of. And he's talking about the food, and I was like, all right. So take a ton of pictures. I'm like, I'll be back. And he's like, okay. So I get in there, and his chef, Bob, who was over at Mother's previously, is the lead chef there, and just stupefying. Those smoked chicken wings with their house-made surfer barbecue sauce falling off the bone. Oh, God. I'm like so freaking hungry, and I just had a huge dinner. This is not fair. But yeah, the restaurant reviews, I'm a stickler about. I don't like doing any negative reviews. So my thing is, if I go in and you don't, try at least to have a couple of items that are locally sourced, or you have really crappy food service, or you don't go out of your way to clean your restaurant, or your stuff's overpriced compared to other restaurants, I'm not going to review it. Okay. I'm not going to say a peep. And I've had a couple people like message me and be like, "Hey, I saw you in on the weekend, so when am I going to see the post?" And I had to go,
I forgot. I deleted the pictures on accident.
Well, usually I'm a little more tactful, and I'll say, well, I was really excited to do it, and I started to, but then I saw this, and I didn't want to feature it because I didn't want to put you in a negative light. So I always try to make it like, I'm doing you a favor.
That's very nice, yeah.
I don't want to do a negative. But if you change it, I'll be sure to come in and I'll check it out. And sometimes they're like, okay, all right, and then they change it. Like they'll like go in and actually scrub the floor or something, and then like send me a message. I'm like, okay, I'll come back and check it out. But sometimes they don't send me back a message, and I was like, okay, c'est la vie. You don't want to. All right, don't take my advice. It's all right. Places are closing down left and right every time I come and visit. So. Don't take my advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's a really, I think, like Krista does a very similar thing with Spree, where they will never go out of their way to write a damning report on a restaurant. Because they feel like, what's the benefit of ripping apart a place where they could spotlight somebody who's doing something good?
Exactly. Give the limelight to the folks who are like really putting their effort into making a quality product, or who are featuring some outstanding local produce or local brews. Like I love Ethan and the boys over at Community Beer Works. Jesus, I love those guys. They're so awesome.
Such awesome beer.
And now Chris is over in my neck of woods with Lane Ops doing takeout on the corner of West
I just saw that.
And Breckenridge.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm totally digging that. I can walk, refill my growler, go pick up a po' boy, and then head home. And
there's nothing better than that combination.
Oh my God, no. Not at all. The whale and a spiced sausage po' boy. Right?
See, now I'm like on the other end. Like, they're not too far away, but Lenep's was like right here.
I know. I stole him from you.
I guess that had to happen. But
no, he's following me.
Yeah, right? That's what it is. Yeah.
I move, he moves.
But yeah, no, I love both those places. Like, they're. I mean, Community Works, we had those guys down here right before their shop opened, and I was ecstatic. Like, me and him went to Good Bar the day that they put him on tap, just so that we could like finally try his beer.
Did you guys try the barley one?
No.
Oh my God, too small of a batch. Bob would have like bought out the entire tank. That stuff was amazing. It was addictive. It was just delicious. There was a hint of like Scotch. Just like a little hint of Scotch from the barley, deep flavored deliciousness. I'm drooling. Oh, stop me now.
Yeah, I'm so excited for all the success that they've had and expansion and everything.
They're probably going to get bigger before they know it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Micro breweries.
Yeah,
going to be so micro, whatever it is they want to call themselves this week.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think they're going to see next year is going to be a pretty big leap. At least, I mean, I think they could be in any bar they wanted to at this point.
They totally could.
Yeah, but yeah. So I guess we'll kind of wrap it up.
Okay.
I mean, we've talked so much about what you want to do with the kitchen and the pantry and events. I mean, is there anything else that you have seen this year that you would like to do, either with the blog or just?
Oh my gosh. I want to start actually doing more school related stuff. There's a number of schools. My girls are tapestry, and they put up a hoop house, and they've been talking about nutrition in their classes, and they're talking about local produce. I want to see if I can talk to them about bumping up the quality of lunch programs. I mean, theirs compared to Buffalo Public Schools and a number of other school districts in the area, really outstanding.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, well, okay, cool, you've got some great ideas. Now, how can I help you make it happen?
Yeah.
You know, how can I be the magic man in this and make it happen for you?
Yeah.
You know, so let's stop talking about it. Let's do it. I'm all about let's do it. Let's get our hands dirty.
That's
and
awesome.
Get into it. So yeah, that's my next big project.
Your next big project.
Like, I need another one.
Let's
throw another spinning plate in the air there, Annie.
It's a very full agenda that you have for these next couple of years. So
it's a dream big, and you know, at least 3/4 of it'll happen.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I love that.
And whatever doesn't work, somebody else will take, and I'll be like, you're welcome to it. Go right ahead.
I love that motto. All right. Well, Annie, thank you so much for coming down here. It was really nice talking to you, and keep up the great work with everything you do.
Thank you so much.